Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, for the first time this season, we're going to be talking about our first snowstorm. And this one could be very major, guys, so we're going to want to take a look at all of this. I'm going to show you multiple models, total snowfall forecast, all sorts of things coming up. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. I'd also ask that you check out our very exciting Patreon page in the description and the pinned comment down below. Alright, now for today's comment of the day, I want to know, what is the earliest snowfall you can remember? Since we're talking about a very early one today, I want to know, what is the very earliest snowfall for your region you can remember? Also, be sure to let us know your region, of course. Alright, now let's get into this video, and as we can see here, there's those blues up there for Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Minnesota. That's those really cold temperatures that are going to move in. We're talking Monday, September 7th is going to be kind of the beginning of this storm. So what we're going to do here is take a look at our energy. This is on the same, well, a few hours later than that frame. Look at that ball of energy to the north of Washington, Idaho, and Montana. That's actually going to end up being our very major snowstorm here for the Rockies. For their standards, it's not so major, but for this early on, it is certainly. And you can see those very dark reds. That's indicating a lot of energy there. And as we move on towards September 18th, it's going to dive down and, as you can see, become a very major area of cyclonic vorticity there over the states of, well, all of the four corner states there. And then it's going to be practically said and done, but it's going to stall out a lot and bring a lot of snowfall for many regions across the Rockies. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at the simulated precipitation type radar and just show you guys what it's going to look like. And then we're going to start getting into total snowfall, and then we're going to close out the video. And if you can't tell, I'm very excited. This is always a very exciting time when we're talking about our first snowstorm, so I was very happy this morning to get to show you guys this video. This one is a lot earlier than I've even made for my channel, and I've been doing it for, I think this is our third September we've done. So, I mean, this is very early and pretty significant. I can recall a storm like this back in one of the years like 2013 or 2014 that actually brought snow for a lot of the plains as well, which is possible. So we're going to have to watch it very closely. As you can see, by time we're at about 8 a.m. on Monday, September 7th. Not a lot of precipitation is in the area yet, but it has not built in yet, rest assured. Let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look at about 8 p.m. that night on Monday, September 7th, and as you can see, the low pressure center actually is a 993 millibar low pressure system over Colorado by this point, and we can see spotty high elevation heavy snowfall there for Montana and Wyoming, probably dropping an inch or two per hour rates right there for the higher elevation. Let's go ahead and move it towards about 2 a.m. on Tuesday, and this is going to be September 8th, and as you can see, it absolutely just starts to really bring widespread heavy snowfall, even for the lower elevation areas there in Wyoming. It hasn't really moved in for Colorado yet, but we have a 996 millibar low pressure center there just for the four corner states, and it's bringing very heavy widespread snowfall for Wyoming, still a bit of some areas in Montana, and some areas in extreme western Nebraska. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at when this one dips down further into Colorado and surrounding states. All right, now here we are taking a look at about 8 a.m. on Tuesday, September 8th, and as you can see, still widespread snowfall there for portions of Wyoming, a little bit of Nebraska there, and now northern Colorado there, especially the mountainous regions. The interesting thing with the timing of this one is we are going to see those nighttime lows, and that's going to create the more widespread snowfall overnight, and then it's going to start to recede back mostly for the higher elevation areas, of course, but we're still dealing with a 997 millibar low pressure center. So this one is staying relatively strong throughout this one's entire life, and really it's a pretty strong snowstorm for this time of year. I've seen one that this kind of reminds me of a few years back. If anybody knows which one that was, let me know. But here we are taking a look at about the afternoon hours of Tuesday, September 8th now. And as you can see, for all of eastern Colorado, really we're looking at moderate to heavy snowfall, some mixing there for the corners of the state, but we're even seeing some regions in Kansas seeing a little bit of snowfall there. So again, the plains can get involved with a system like this, and we have a 995 millibar low pressure center by this point, so very, very strong system. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on, but we're going to start to see the end of this one's, I guess, life, and then we're going to start moving on towards total snowfall from multiple models, including the GFS, the Canadian, the Icon, and the European. All right, so here's one more frame here at the very end of this model run, and this is about 8 p.m. on Tuesday. And as you can see, we're seeing some snowfall still for portions of Colorado, portions of northern New Mexico, even some areas in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, especially, again, western Kansas, of course. Now, this is obviously a little bit of a hotter time, so what we're seeing here is actually only the higher elevation areas and the very coldest of those temperatures are seeing that snowfall. Notice to the north we have a high pressure center squeezing that low pressure center further south. And this is basically the end of the snowfall because it warms up after this point and we see less and less snow. So let's go ahead and take a look at some total snowfall outlooks here from some of our models. I'm obviously going to be updating this if this still appears to be a major snowstorm. I'm obviously going to be making my own snowfall map for this one in the coming days. But here's the GFS model, and as you can see, anywhere in the blues, you're under 3 inches of snow. If you're in those purple shades, you're in 3 to 6 inches of snow. If you're in the pinks, you're at 6 to 12 inches of snow. And if you're in the greens, you're at 12 to 24 inches of snow. And I even see a little bit of blues in those darker greens up there for portions of Wyoming. That's where you're possibly at or above 2 feet of snow, 24 inches. Very, very interesting to see this major of a snowstorm this early on. Again, for the Rocky Mountain standards, this isn't going to feel crazy, but it's still just so major, especially considering the timing here. I mean, we're in the first and then entering the second week of September here, already dealing with a major snowstorm. And this is actually the first snowstorm, believe it or not. So really, usually that first snowstorm is a very small one. We see a few very small snowstorms, and then we really ease into the more major ones. No, not this year. It appears we're just going to really just get started with a very major system, actually, with this very potent cold air that's moving in. It's an interesting setup. Let's go ahead and move on to that Canadian model here, and as you can see, it's a very similar outlook, but it's actually a further west outlook, but still we have a lot of those greens popping up for Wyoming and portions of mountainous Colorado. So yeah, we're really taking a look at least it appears a foot or more of snow for some of those higher elevation areas, and pretty widespread 6 to 10 inches of snow throughout some higher elevation regions. And then more for the low-lying areas. I say low-lying, even though they're still very, very high up in Colorado, portions of Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming. We're taking a look at least 3 to 6 inches of snow. So yeah, it's looking to be a major snowstorm. Very, very interesting setup, like I said before. What we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to take a look at our two last models, our Icon and then our European model. All right, now here we are taking a look at that Icon model, and as you can see, it kind of actually looks a lot like, it looks more like the Canadian model. This isn't a complete run, actually. It only gets us to about 2 a.m. on Wednesday, and I think the snowstorm isn't done on this model by that point. So Colorado, this is an incomplete, but for Montana, Wyoming, this is basically what this model is calling for, and as you can see, we still see those scattered in greens, a little bit less than the other models are calling for, but still, we're seeing those 1 to 2 feet amounts for higher elevations, and then more widespread amounts of 6 to 12, and then even 3 to 6 is fairly widespread. What's interesting here is we see a lot more snowfall for South Dakota and Nebraska here from the Icon model than we saw for the two prior models. So this one is a little bit more east-based with it, actually, and a little bit more confident in that snowfall for the lower-lying areas, which is quite interesting to say the least. All right, now last but not least, here is our European model, and we're using a different website here, so I'm going to have to re-walk you through our color table here. If you're in the grays, which as you can see on the European model gets scattered throughout a lot of portions of Nebraska, you're anywhere under an inch, so maybe seeing flakes to a dusting. If you're in the blues, you're anywhere from an inch to 6 inches of snow, so we jump up pretty far there, and that's quite widespread. Again, this model also has those amounts throughout portions of Nebraska and Kansas, and then the low-lying areas of Colorado, so for sure Denver. And then in our pink regions, we're expecting anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of snow. We see those more red regions. That's where we're expecting 12 to 24 inches of snow. So this model has those high elevation 12 to 24 inch of snow amounts pretty much throughout portions of Wyoming, Colorado, and even New Mexico. This model has a much, much higher snowfall amount for New Mexico, so it'll be interesting to see if that actually pans out the way the European model thinks. Again, in the coming days, I might be making a snowfall forecast, perhaps Sunday or Monday, and we will probably have a much better idea of how much snowfall and where we're expecting it by that point. All right, anyway, For yesterday's comment of the day, I asked you guys, which region do you expect to see the most snowfall this winter? And Tammy Buchanan said the Great Lakes, and I think that's a pretty good guess. Now, for our patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our Diamond patrons, Madbirds and Mark J, alongside our Platinum patron, Donna Carnes. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.